works out for you or it doesn't. You get positive results from that or negative results from that. You seek to bond with or to create groups with other people who are also resisting whatever you're resisting, so that your bond becomes one of your status in that group or subgroup becomes one of resistance. And of course everybody wants to be different and not go along with the crowd, but they don't realize that they all dress alike and talk alike and look alike and buy the same tennis shoes and wear their hair the same. But they like to, at that age, we like to pretend that we're different and that we're resisting authority, and that makes us somehow good and the authority bad. So we go through these different phases in life in which we attempt to change our life or better our life, but it is all happening inside of a program that's already been predetermined from before you were ever born. You didn't get to vote on it. You didn't get to say whether it worked for you or not. You didn't get to think whether or not it was a good idea that you follow this program or whether you should write your own program. In fact, people who do resist heartily enough often not just chastised or criticized or laughed at, but sometimes physically and violently persecuted. Many of the outstanding prophets or advanced thinkers throughout history have often been put to death over what they had to say about how things were working. And so we began to get the idea that it's safer in order to survive, to fit in and to go along with the norm. And you may call that, and most people do, call that having a life or living. I'm putting forth the idea that that's not life at all. That's not life. That life is not designed for your happiness. That life was not designed by you. That life was inherited. It was given to you. You walked into it and accepted it because it was more comfortable than the consequences of resisting it. It was something that you accepted because to go against it, this life, that you were given, that you got by default, the default programming and conditioning, by accepting it, you could have a certain level of comfort. Now, I didn't say a certain level of happiness or fulfillment or full self-expression or knowing yourself or enlightenment or anything even vaguely close to that, but you would survive and get by. That's what most people spend their entire existence doing, from birth to death. They just survive and get by. They find moments that they call happiness. I'm not saying that we don't have moments of true happiness, but they go away. They come and they go, and then we hang on to them in our memories and sing songs about them and write poetry about them and talk about these moments of happiness on and on again. And then usually what really is the predominant element in the story that we tell is how that happiness went away or what took it away from us or how we lost it. That is not life. So I'm proposing that there is no life if it is not a created life, if it is not a life that you yourself invent, create, and generate. Now, I didn't mean to make you think that you have to do it all alone. No, you can do it with others of like mind, others who are creating their own life. However, you have to do it yourself. Nobody can do it for you. And so how does one create a life? I mean, where do you even begin to get the tools for that? Where do you even begin to get the idea from that? Well, okay, I'm giving you the idea right now. I'm giving you the idea right now that you yourself, who you really are, who can hear me beyond the conditioning that you have that wants to block out this information, but there's a true self, a true you, a real you that's always been here that even so much as listening to this message today, or whether you're listening to it years from now, or weeks from now, or hours from now, the fact that you're even hearing this message means that part of you that has always known that there was something else, has been looking for and drawing into your experience some catalyst, some messenger, some idea that you could go beyond your current life, the life as you know it. And so I affirm that even the fact that you're listening to this message now means that you've been looking for this message for some time. And some part of you wants to move beyond the fixed and static conditioning of your life. And you have gotten to a place where you begin to see repeating patterns. You've gotten to a place where you see that you keep trying the same thing over and over, or maybe you try new things, but they keep turning out pretty much the same. That there begins to be a pattern that evolves, in which you begin to see that it is what I call looping. It's like where you take a videotape and you tape two ends of it together, and it just keeps playing over and over and over. So no matter how many times you play it, you still get the same videotape. You begin to see that your life is looping, that it's going through cycles, and maybe it's getting better, maybe it's getting more satisfying, maybe you're improving at the game, maybe you're getting better at it, maybe you're making more money or having more of whatever it is that you say you want. However, there's a sort of dissatisfaction that comes with that. There's a kind of dissatisfaction that comes with people working so hard to get something that doesn't truly express who they really are, that truly doesn't express the divine, the sacred, the beautiful part of one's soul that we know is there. And so we seek to find it through music, through poetry, through lovemaking, through sometimes drugs, whatever we can use to try to have a direct experience of ourselves. Now, how do I know all this? Why do I think that's true? I know it from being still. I know it from being quiet. I know it from observing and paying very highly focused but relaxed attention to my life and to the lives of the people around me. I begin to see things not just for what they appeared to be, but you begin to see how they got to be that way and what caused it in the first place. And you begin to find yourself closer and closer to the source of your own life. If you just could be still. I'm talking about meditation. I'm talking about whatever it takes for you to find a place of stillness within yourself, so that all of the thoughts and conditionings and random and capricious activities of your mind and your life can begin to settle down, and you can just sort of let them be, and then it will let you be. Whatever you can let be will let you be. And by that I mean, if you can just leave your life be like it is for a moment, it will allow you to be however you are for that moment. And in that moment, you get a little closer to who you really are, and you begin to discover that you have some choices in your life. You begin to discover that you could actually choose which way your life force, your life energy will flow, that you're not a victim at all of the circumstances of your life, that you're not imprisoned at all by the conditions and situations in your life that are given by your relationships or your financial status or your religion or your culture or your genetic inheritance, or whether or not you're a male or a female or whatever color you are. You begin to realize that you're totally free from all of that, and that you that while those things are, and you can just let them be, that there is something far more powerful, more profound, more connected with the creative force of the universe. You see, the creative force of the universe doesn't create the universe for payment. It doesn't get paid for creating it. It doesn't get anything back for it. You see, the creative force of the universe is just creating. Now you could say, well, it's good or it's bad or whatever. I declare that it's good. Why? Because being at the close source of the universe, you find that it is really neither good nor bad. However, it has a wonderful tendency to it that we can call love, that we can call self, full self, one's true self. When you get in touch with your true self, the self with the capital S, then you have an experience or a feeling that you can only, the best word you could come up with might be love, okay? So in that experience of oneself and of love, you begin to realize that you have a creative source within you that can cause things to happen. And you will naturally have a tendency to want to cause good things to happen because of this presence of love and self-respect and the sort of awe that is present when you really get your connection with the universe, you naturally feel very good about that and want to cause more of that wonderful, good, expressive feeling called love, that we call love, in the world. So when I say that the universe is basically good, that's what I mean by that. I mean that you're basically good. You, who you really are, is basically good. And who you really are is a beautiful expression and a unique expression. Unique, like only one, just you. You know, nobody else can be you better than you. And if you don't be all of the you, all of the uniqueness that is yours to be, then the universe just simply, it won't be expressed. It won't suffer over that, but it just simply will not get expressed. So who benefits the most, if you will, if there's any benefit at all? It doesn't benefit from creating life. It simply creates life. It simply creates life. And so if there were any benefit to be had, it would be your benefit for expressing who you truly are and who you truly desire to be. Because I believe that those desires that you find within you, and I want to separate the word desire from want. Many people collapse these words together. Want means, linguistically, to desire without having. To desire without having. So when you say, I want something, it means you're already declaring that you don't have it yet. Otherwise, why do you want it? So you only want what you don't have. When you have, you don't want, you have, right? So want means to desire without having, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just, when you use the word, you need to know what you're saying, okay? Desire, on the other hand, is immutable. It is non-negotiable. It is, try to negotiate with your desires, okay? Good luck with that, because desires just are. They are a feeling that arises from oneself and is outwardly focused in the world. Now, I know that there are texts that I think have been widely misinterpreted, Buddhist texts that say that you should banish all desires, that desires are the source of all evil, and so forth, right? I think that that is a cowardly interpretation. That is not a brave and courageous interpretation. That interpretation means that if one has desires, one will desire to do bad or evil things. You might. I wouldn't be afraid of that. Only a coward would be afraid of that. I believe that you will desire to do far more good than bad, and I think that you will do, ultimately there's not any good or bad to be done anyhow. There's just what's so. You know, every time something is born, something else dies. Life and death exist simultaneously as two sides of a coin. Decay and flourishing exist simultaneously in nature. You know, something must decay for something else to grow. So all of life is built upon the decay of previous life. The ending of life or the decay of previous life forms is bad or sad or evil, is to attach oneself to even to the thought that there's bad in the universe. And so, you know, I think that that interpretation of the Buddhist texts that say, you know, the banishment of all desires, that desires are the source of all evil. Well, okay, but desires are also the source of all good. So why would you focus on the evil part in the first place? That's all I'm saying. Why not focus on the part that gives life, that gives love, that is flourishing, that is beautiful, that is self-fulfilling? Why not say that desires are the source of all good? Desires are the source of all creation. Desires are the source of all love. I'm saying that when you begin to get in touch with your own self and when you begin to be still and listen, the universe is trying to say something through you. This universe is wanting to speak through you as a unique expression of all that is, a unique desire to manifest that has come forth as you, that is manifested and come forth as you. Now, you have an incredible opportunity. You have I mean, life is a huge privilege. You have an incredible opportunity to create love, to create relationships, to create prosperity, to create art, to create so many things in your life that will benefit others like rain to flowers, you know, that will fall upon the earth, fall upon your life like blessings. You have the opportunity, each and every one of you that's listening to the show has the opportunity to actually create and generate and cause into existence and manifest into existence an infinite number of things, an infinite number of experiences and blessings that you could bring forth. And you have the same ability to create all kinds of havoc and mayhem and hatred and destruction and all that too. But why would you? What's the point? When you realize that you have the ability to create all goodness, you just kind of naturally want to do that. It just, why? It just feels better. Because it's a truer expression of who you really are. You just kind of naturally want to love and be loved. You kind of naturally want to bless the world and cause blessings in the world, and be, whether you're known for that or not, whether anybody ever knows you did that or not. It's the doing of it, the creating of it is more than enough reward, if you will. And the reward is not even the right word, because it's just a rewarding experience. I'm limited by language here. I realize that that's a very high arch, if you will, for a lot of people who are just like, hey, you know what, I'm just trying to pay my bills. My kid's taking drugs, my husband's cheating on me, or my girlfriend doesn't love me anymore, or, we have all of those experiences. And so I don't want to avoid talking to those about those experiences with you, but I want to give you a higher point of view so that you can begin to see that it becomes easier for you to see that perhaps your creative life force has been guided by some default programs, some programs that just were installed in you without you having any choice about it or any say-so, before you had the intellectual capacity to actually examine rationally and see if those beliefs, those values, those reasons, those traditions and conditions, whether they worked for you or not. You didn't have the capacity to examine that, and so it went unexamined. I believe there's a saying like, there's nothing so painful as the unexamined life, something like that. The unexamined life, the life that you haven't even looked at, and yet it lives you. The conditioning lives you and uses up your life force until you get old and die. And so that kind of death, that is sad, because the life was sad, so the death is not very noble either. Your life gets used up, and then there you're gone. And so the entire thing occurs in the universe like, okay, well, more lost opportunity. I believe that those people, have looking for something outside of your normal belief system. You've been looking for a new way to begin to live your life, not just, different things to do. But I can tell you this, that what you believe right now, and what you truly desire right now, and what you value right now, is right now causing the future that you're about to experience. You're always creating your future right now. Is there a future? Well, one could say there is a default future. Like if you don't consciously create it, if you don't consciously use your consciousness, your intelligence, and your heart and your soul to create a future, and your hands too. There's things to do. You can't just like sit back and meditate and create a future and then think it's just going to somehow pop into existence like Merlin or something. No, you got to go do stuff. My magician friend always tells me, if you want to take a rabbit out of the hat, you got to first put the rabbit in the hat. So there's things to do, okay? But there's some miraculous looking occurrences that happen when you begin to do the things that work, that are in line with the universe and universal principles, and then seeming coincidences, unexplainable things begin to happen. Doors open up. You run into people that you never were going to run into. Opportunities open up. You get phone calls. All kinds of things happen that are in the direction that you said you wanted to go. That can seem like magic, and that can seem like miracles. However, it's just how the universe works. When you set an intention and a desire and begin to work in that direction, opportunities that were always there, they were there anyhow, they were always going to be there, begin to appear. Because why? Because you're looking for them now. You're looking in a particular way. You've focused your life force in a particular direction, so those things begin to show up that were possibly already there, were just waiting for you to notice. Back to my original thing, what I asserted at the beginning of the show was that there is no life other than the created life, a created life. If you are not causing and generating consciously a future that you desire and turns you on, that makes a difference for your life and for other people's lives, that lightens up the world and lightens up your life and makes your life and the lives of those that you touch somehow better. Somehow people just feel better when you're around, you know? They benefit from your presence. If you're not causing that kind of a life, then you have the default life. You have the life that you inherited. You have the life that your culture gave you and didn't ask you if you wanted it. You just got it. And you maybe didn't even have a choice about the kind of education you were going to get, or the language you were going to speak, or the body you were going to have, or the kind of food you were going to eat, or the religious system that you were going to be exposed to, and in some cases forced to accept under threat. You know, I mean, you didn't have a choice. But now you do. In a way, now that you've heard this, you're kind of screwed, because now you know. Now you know you have a choice. And so now, hopefully, you will look at your life and know that it doesn't have to be this way. It could be so much more. And so the whole point of this conversation is that if you're not creating your life consciously, then you've inherited a default life. And that is the distinction or the difference between destiny and fate. You create your destiny. People ask me all the time, is there a destiny out there that's waiting for me? Is there a purpose to my life that is out there waiting for me, and I've got to go find it and discover it, and like I'll somehow bump into it if I search enough? And, then what I really think they mean is there fate, okay? Destiny you create. Fate is what you inherit. Destiny is the life that you create for yourself. Fate is what you run into if you don't create your life. You just run into your fate. You were fated to live this way. You got left with this, okay? You got an inherited life. You don't have any control over it. You don't know when you're going to die or how it's going to turn out. It's just, that's the life you got, right? And it's predictable and almost certain how it's going to turn out. On a created life, a life that I call a life of purpose, a life of destiny, a life that is generated, then you don't know how that one's going to turn out either. Both are uncomfortable. If you're trying to stay in your comfort zone and have a created life that's really great and pleasurable, then you're on the fate side, because the fate side is where people sell out for comfort. The fate side is where people, even though their life may be uncomfortable, it is less threatening than to challenge everything about their life and to go out and to create a brand new career, relationship, physical body, okay? Even your physical body is something that you can create. Now, are there certain genetic predispositions and so forth like that? Yes. I would say that there probably are, but even those could be challenged. I don't like to talk about myself that much, but in my own life, I had a mother that died of cancer at the age 36, and a father and a grandfather who both died of heart attacks at age 60. And then all of the brothers, my dad's 3 brothers, died at 60 of heart attacks. If I followed the genetic programming that I inherited, I ought to be gone already, you see. I have the experience, not every day, mind you, but I have the experience of getting younger and feeling as young as I did 20 years ago. That's my experience. Did that happen by itself? No, it did not, I guarantee you. That is a conscious creation on my part. I created that. I caused it by living in harmony with certain principles of the universe and using those. They're always available. It's nothing special. You don't have to be magical or a sage or anything like that to use the principles of the universe. You don't have to be an electrician to use electricity, right? You don't even have to understand electricity to turn on a light switch and use the light, right? You don't have to have any concept whatsoever of how electrical engineering works to use a microwave. You just need to know how to use it. and how not to use it. So the same is true about your body. You don't have to understand everything about your body to know how to live in harmony and make it work, and not do things that don't make it work, right? The same is true with your life. Now, I've spent a lifetime and continue to examine the relationship between the scientific evidence of the physical world and the life that we live, the physical life, if you will, the life that all of us agree upon is reality, like, you know, this is real and this is real and the television's real and so forth. We all agree on a certain reality, and then there is a world beyond that, the metaphysical, the physical, and then there's the metaphysical. Meta means beyond or behind or larger than, that which gives birth to, if you will. There is a metaphysical world, one that is largely ignored. Why? Because we're so, the physical world is so dazzling. What you see, taste, touch, hear, smell is so overwhelming and so present and so agreed upon by everybody that, in fact, there's an enormous amount of agreement that nothing else exists beyond that. And then there's a lot of people who know that this is just a printout or a surface manifestation of something much, much larger. This is just like, you know, the printed page of, you know, a vast program of things that showed up as your life. And it will be like gone in no time. So what does it mean to have a created life? It means to use everything that you have, all of your senses, to begin to use a natural ability that you and I and all of us have. And that is to cause and generate right now. It's always right now, by the way. It's never last year or last month or when I was younger or in the future when I'm wiser. It's always right now. All of your power is in the present moment. If you try to put it somewhere else, good luck, because you can't, and it doesn't, and you won't. And so if you want to find your power, the only place to find it is right here, right now. All of your power has always existed right here, right now, and you've lived one right here, right now after another, except so what? Because all you have is right here, right now. So if you could begin to get your mind wrapped around that and to simply, like I said before, be still. How do I know some of these things? By being still. By stilling your mind, being still and listening, and allowing your natural intelligence to begin to emerge. Now, I could say that took me 20 years of meditation, but I could also say it took no time at all. It had, when I began to consciously hear and turn up the volume on the inner reality that I was listening to, I realized I'd been listening to it all along, all my life, ever since I was a kid. And I remember visiting my sister, and I was sitting out on her front porch in the evening and meditating. Now, this time I was, you know, a grown man, and I'd gone outside to watch the sun go down and to meditate for 15 minutes or so. And she came out and she said, "Oh, what are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm just meditating." And she goes, "You've always been doing that." And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Even since you were a little kid, we called it staring off into space. We would call you, but you would be gone. You would be off in space in some deep thought someplace, you know." And she said, "You've been doing that since you were a little kid." And she helped me realize that I have indeed been doing that since I was a little kid. Now, I think that I don't think I'm particularly unusual. I think that if that happened to me when I was a little kid, I think kids do that, and I think that adults do that, and I think that there's something that we listen to but we largely ignore. And so the difference between me and you might be that just that I'm listening. I decided to stop and be still and really listen. And life gave me many opportunities to do that. I had many opportunities where I could find myself alone. Now, did those things accidentally happen, or did I create them? I say I created those opportunities. I remember moving away from the crowd and going to be alone in the woods or in the forest or by a lake. I would get up early in the morning before people awoke so that I could listen to the stillness, and then I could hear the world awakening. However you do it, I propose that you create, meaning you cause, you put it in your schedule, a time and a place, okay? Because the world that we live in it's time and space. So it has to be in time, meaning you're going to do it on a certain day at a certain time, in a certain place, not just any old place. but someplace, right? That you're going to find time and a place to go and be quiet and listen and meditate. You know, there must be 100 different, probably more, methods that are taught about what is the best form of meditation, what's the best way to learn it. I know at least a dozen. And, you know, they like anything that you get good at, they're interchangeable, they're intermittent. There's not just one way. If you were a master chef, there's not just one way to cook something. You know, if one tool wasn't available or one sort of pan or something wasn't available, you'd just find another way to do that. Same with carpentry or music or anything that you get good at. There's a lot of different ways to do it. So find the way that's best for you, and I think the best way to do that is just start with one. Just start by saying, you know, I'm going to take a few moments first thing in the morning before I wake up and start talking and drinking coffee and, you know, interacting with the world and being distracted by my phone and all that. I'm just going to take a moment and be really quiet and listen to my inner voice, listen to God, listen to the birds, listen to whatever you listen to, but just hear life and just begin to feel life, and then notice that there will be a feeling that will arise within you, and just allow that to do that. And then take that with you. Close that up in your heart and take that with you throughout your day and see how it changes your day. And then before you go to sleep at night, take a moment. Just go somewhere at the end of the day and be quiet again and listen. And consider that the life that you know is not necessarily the only life that you have. There's a life that you may want to create for yourself. That's not going to happen by itself. You know, your health, your finances, your relationships, they don't just, if you just let them happen by themselves, good luck with that. I mean, it makes a mess. It's a random and capricious happening. But if you put order in your life and you begin to create it with love and in harmony with the principles of the universe, it's extraordinary. Now, but following up on what I was talking about at the beginning of the show, I just found this piece of writing called Be Still, and I want to share it with you, okay? The wise leader speaks rarely and briefly. After all, no other natural outpouring goes on and on. It rains and then it stops. It thunders and then it stops. The leader teaches more through being than through doing. The quality of one's silence conveys more than long speeches. Be still. Follow your inner wisdom. In order to know your inner wisdom, you have to be still. The leader who knows how to be still and feel deeply will probably be effective. But the leader who chatters and boasts and tries to impress the group has no center and carries little weight. Tao, T-A-O, the Chinese principle of universal life force, works for those who follow the Tao. God serves those who serve God. When you are in touch with the single principle, you can consciously cooperate with it. For the whole first part of the show, I was talking about creating your life, but it's more about creating through cooperating. There's something that wants to happen where you are. There's something that wants to happen in your relationships. There's something that wants to happen in your health. There's something that wants to happen in your finance. There's something that wants to happen in the lives of the people around you. There's something that's wanting to manifest, wanting to come forth, desiring to be fulfilled. You can cause that to be fulfilled. You could say that a flower seed or an apple seed is an apple tree wanting to manifest, even though it's just a seed, but you can cause it to manifest. There's an infinite potentiality in all things. So just as an apple seed contains an entire apple tree that could live for years and years and produce thousands of apples and feed lots of people and animals and plants as well and provide shade. Until that potentiality is nurtured, prepared, and released, then the actual chances of any given apple seed ever turning into its full potential is very rare. It's very rare. Unless you're actually going to plant it and take care of it, it probably isn't going to grow into a tree, right? So your life has infinite potential. Your children's lives, every person you ever met has infinite potential. the chances of it just growing on its own automatically, manifesting it as its fullest potential is pretty rare. If every apple seed that ever was ever grew into an apple tree, the whole entire planet would be covered with apple trees. And that's just one plant out of I don't know how many billions of plants there are, okay, that have seeds. But the same is true for humanity. People don't grow to their fullest potential unless given a certain environment, certain nutrients, and fostered and created and caused to grow. Realizing this, realizing that the growth and development that I have done in my own life was because I was fortunate enough to run into teachers and masters who had given their life to causing other people's lives to grow and develop. And I was fortunate enough, just like, when it rains, it doesn't rain on you personally. I mean, it's not a personal phenomenon. It's not just, trying to get you wet. It's just raining on everyone, but you get wet. Well, when a teacher teaches and gives their gift, you never know who's going to get it. You never know what flower is going to grow from that rain, what plant is going to be nourished. And that's one way of looking at it. But then another way of looking at it is, what if I began to think, what if I consciously created an environment in which people who wanted to grow at an exponential rate, exponentially meaning greater than any predictable rate of growth. You're going to grow anyhow. Like if we looked at your life as a chart, and one of those charts, you've been growing, you've been sort of had your down times and your up times and your really down times, but then there are up times, and you've been growing all along. Okay? An exponential rate of growth doesn't look like this. It looks like this. You just go off the chart. Your growth breaks the records. We call it breakthrough education, breakthrough thinking. It's not something that one would predict. So sometimes people call it miraculous or magical or something like that. It's not magical and it's not miraculous unless an apple seed turning into a tree and leaves and an apple is miraculous, which it is. There are people who will not grow in any environment, okay? Regardless of what you do, they're committed to not growing. So I predict that they won't, but we've created an environment in Embrace Growth where it is predictable that people will take these workshops and they will have outstanding growth and development, and that is proven to be true time and time again. Hello, this is Gregory. You're live on the air with Love Talk.
Hi, Mr. Morgan.
Hi, how are you, sir?
Sorry, my English is not that much well, and I'm calling from Iran.
Well, thank you. I'm honored. What can I do for you?
I have a question, Mr. Morgan, for you. What is the difference between self-esteem and self-confidence, and how we can boost our self-esteem?
Well, that's great. That's a great question. They're used pretty synonymously, meaning self-esteem and self-confidence. Esteem is more related to one's personal point of view about oneself. Esteem is like the word estimated, right? It has the word estimate in it. So you estimate, or you judge yourself to be pretty good. To have self-esteem means that I value myself. I'm somebody for myself. So that's self-esteem. Self-esteem means, you're somebody for yourself. You have value to yourself. You feel good about yourself. And self-esteem will give you self-confidence. Self-confidence, I believe, from my experience, comes from having accomplished something in your life, done something with your life, overcome hardships, been challenged and found that you had inner resources to overcome difficulties, and maybe even more than enough to overcome your own difficulties, enough to serve others and help others too. This gives one confidence.
But yes, but does it have anything to do with our culture? And because it has been said that maybe it's not something rooted and deep in our culture, because Iranians people all are suffering from the lack of self-esteem.
Well, yeah, because you're, and you're not the only ones, but your culture, like many, I'm not going to isolate your culture. There's other cultures like that too, but your culture is one in which to expand, to be better than the others, to outshine, to think beyond the norms, to express oneself completely, is suppressed. It's not looked upon very well. It's frowned upon by the society in many ways. So you're not encouraged to have self-esteem. You're not encouraged to be proud of yourself. You're not encouraged to outshine others. You're encouraged to pretty much dress alike, look alike, act alike, believe the same beliefs, and follow the same rules. So it suppresses self-expression, and when self-expression is suppressed, well, self-esteem, in other words, respect for oneself, is also withheld as well. Do you understand?
Yes.
So as far as the cultural part of that is concerned, okay, I could say that some of it is a cultural conditioning, if you will, but independent of cultural conditioning, you can go about accomplishing things in your life that you're proud of and meeting the challenges of your life with courage, with dignity, with guts, with having, the wherewithal to stay with things whenever they get tough, and see them through to the end, whether or not you get hurt by them, but to come out and to win those battles. Those give a person that gives you self-confidence. My self-confidence has not come from always winning, okay? I've had many failures in my life, and I've gotten back up and tried again and again until I've won or succeeded at the things that I were trying hard to do. And that's given me self-confidence to say, I can handle anything that life throws at me, whether I understand how I can do that or not. I will find a way, because that's who I am for myself. I'm confident that I can deal with whatever challenge comes my way. I'm going to deal with it. I'm not going to let it stop me or knock me down or make me lose my self-esteem or my self-confidence. That doesn't mean that I have a false notion of myself. I'm not Superman. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Self-confidence also comes with knowing your limitations. It doesn't mean I can go win a contest in mathematics or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It doesn't mean that I can outrun those guys at the Olympics or I'm not foolish. You know what I mean? But I know my limitations, but within my limitations, I'm quite confident of what I can and can't do, you see.
But the question is, sorry, Mr. Morgan, how we can have a good image of ourselves. Many years ago, there was a book. It was translated into Farsi. It was the Science of Psycho-Cybernetic.
Yeah.
It was Maxwell Maltz, I think.
Yes.
It was written by Maxwell.
Yes.
Yes.
I know this book. I've read it.
Oh, you have read it. And that book helped me a lot in some period of my life.
What I've got to say in this brief amount of time is that self-esteem comes from accomplishing things and overcoming hardships. That's what gives you self-esteem. If I said, give me 50 push-ups right now, you probably couldn't do it. Most people can't. But if you did 1 or 2, and then the next day you did 5, and the next day 10, and so forth, pretty soon you could do 50 push-ups. If somebody said, give me 50 push-ups, you could go, okay, no problem. And you just do it. You would have the confidence because you had built that confidence over time. Confidence and self-esteem comes from building it over time. So every day, do something that you're proud of. Accomplish something every day, even little things that you can win at, until you build up a repertoire of things that you're very good at or that you have mastered, and you will find that you will have a good opinion of yourself. And even if others criticize you or lie about you or try to put you down, it won't affect you because you know who you are, because you built your own inner strength from your accomplishments. Does that make sense? There's no magic thing. You can't hypnotize yourself into it. You just have to do the hard work. You can't read a book and get self-confidence, right? You get self-confidence from doing stuff that you're proud of. And it's not easy stuff. Do hard things that are difficult and challenging for you. Reach down into the abyss of your soul and come up with the strength and the wherewithal to do those things, and the intelligence and the communication skills to get stuff done, and you will naturally feel confident. And when life throws something at you that's bewildering or surprising or hard or difficult or challenging or disappointing, you'll go, no problem, I'll deal with this. Not a big deal. Okay?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, that's how you get self-confidence, is by accomplishing stuff.
think self-confidence, but by doing something.
Well, doing, yes, especially for men. For men, men are respected and feel self-respect by their accomplishments. That means doing something in the physical world that makes a difference. Women can feel self-confidence because they're beautiful and sexy and wonderful and delicious, and that's enough. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's a masculine thing to need to accomplish things in order to feel good about yourself. Write this down. Men must do good to feel good. Women must feel good to do good.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you. But the problem is sometimes we are so over-obsessed about our mistakes, especially these mistakes that we made in the past. And
move them. Move on. They're gone.
Our mistakes,
they're gone. They're finished.
In our life. And I always watch your shows and your programs really to heal myself.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I don't know how much I could heal myself, but I always follow your
Thank you.
Suggestions, ideas, and recommendations, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you very, very much. It means the world to me. For your mistakes in the past, let go of them. You made them, so what? Everybody makes mistakes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. This has been Gregory Morgan. You've been watching Love Talk, and I'll be back here again next week. Thank you.
Welcome to the Embrace Growth app. There's a new way to communicate and join in. Create your free account online and sign into the app. Manage your profile on the go and choose between English or Farsi. Register for events and schedule appointments more easily than ever. Stream audio, video, and download books all over Wi-Fi or cellular. Sign up for workshops and seminars right on your phone. And access your audio and video library in the palm of your hand. Take your favorite lessons from Dr. Azita Sayan and Mr. Gregory Morgan with you. Download it today on the App Store. A haven for the weary soul. A source of inspiration and community. Redesigned to bring you meaningful experiences and unforgettable events. We are a worldwide community of vibrant individuals, displayed in the people who are a part of it, from many nations, backgrounds, and beliefs. Through powerful outreach programs, the struggles of everyday life are confronted and conquered, transforming those who participate into the best versions of themselves. One-on-one sessions are available to keep you headed in the right direction, coupled with the best resources to remind you how to live, whether at home or elsewhere. Programs designed for men, providing the building blocks of maturity, commitment, integrity, and leadership, paving the way for productive and fulfilling manhood. Beyond an understanding of masculine leadership is its application in daily life and development into something truly unique. Exclusive training for women, encouraging growth and empowerment through an acceptance of their true identities, redefining interactions, and changing the viewpoint through which life is seen. Embracing the woman within and accessing facets of your personality hidden beneath the surface. Showing our youth the value of integrity and reliability by creating an indwelling desire to succeed with honor, basing the future on a solid foundation of ideals that will guide them through life, leading by example, and showing others how to clearly convey their thoughts in a compelling way, creating a culture of mature leaders who can help others achieve self-confidence and their goals. Real people and real lives are changed for the better. With every event, more are touched and come to an understanding of their place in this world and their community. Embrace Growth is run by a passionate team and led by the diligence and inspiration of Dr. Azita Sayan and Mr. Gregory Morgan, who consistently teach life lessons based on what works, rather than the passing fads of the times.
برنامه دنیای عشق با دکتر آزیتا سایان، برنامه‌ای که تمامی سوالهای شما را جواب می‌دهد. ازدواج، عشق، سکس، همجنسگرایی، فرزندان، والدین، خیانت. از یوتیوب لایو استریم، فیسبوک و اینستاگرام لایو. سه‌شنبه ها و پنجشنبه ها 10 شب به وقت ایران و 10:30 صبح به وقت لس آنجلس. تلفن تماس با استودیو 818 532 6655. یک مرد منحصر به فرد، مسلط، متمرکز، قابل اعتماد و رضایتمند باشید. کارگاه شرافت، عزت کلام و مهارت به رهبری دکتر آزیتا سایان. ایروان ارمنستان 15 تا 17 آگوست. تورنتو 20 تا 22 سپتامبر. اروپا 18 تا 20 اکتبر. 310 460 2600. در کارگاه‌های آموزشی بانوان به رهبری دکتر آزیتا سایان با دستیابی به اهمیت و ارزش واقعی خود، قدرت زنانگی و آرامش خود را بازیابید. تورنتو 15 تا 17 مارس، اروپا 26 تا 28 آپریل، ایروان ارمنستان 31 اکتبر تا 2 نوامبر، لس آنجلس 13 تا 15 سپتامبر. 310 460 2600.